The WWE. Where do we start? Now, the last time I talked about it was Survivor Series. Around that time, it was before their Crown Jewel event, and it was just down in the dumps. It was after Hell in a Cell, actually. And since then, I have started watching Raw again, here and there, sporadically. I've been keeping up with SmackDown just by other podcasts and, you know, what you get spoiled on Twitter and Instagram and that type of stuff you see, and on YouTube. You get these spoilers of what's been going on. So I've been following up with SmackDown because of that. Now, Raw, I have been making an effort to try to get back into it. Now, I'll get into it in a little bit why, but it seems like Raw is actually trying. We're going to be going through Survivor Series, or we're going to be going through WWE from Survivor Series until right around right now. Today is February the 10th, so it's going to be before Monday Night Raw of that day. So we're going to be going into a couple of things that I have found interesting or terrible, mostly terrible, from the main roster of WWE. The women's division has really done nothing since November. Becky Lynch and Bayley are still the champions in those divisions, Raw and SmackDown respectively, and they haven't really done much since. Becky Lynch hasn't really had a real contender since Sasha Banks back in September and October for the Raw Women's title. Asuka and Kairi Sane have defended those women's tag team titles like once since they won them. And let's not even go into that debacle of TLC with the idiotic, no-selling, selfish, robotic Charlotte Flair. And Kairi getting injured in that match. Luckily, she was alright, but again, it was tough to see after the fact, knowing what actually happened and seeing Charlotte doing anything that she wanted to Kairi Sane and doing it like with no care in the world. I mean, come on. Even if you are a Charlotte fan or defender, you can't defend her here. Becky Lynch knew enough that Kairi Sane was injured and she wasn't doing, trying to do big bumps with her. But Charlotte Flair over here slapping her in the head, putting her through a table, kicking her in the head, all this stuff. Like, come on. What the hell is going on here? Charlotte Flair has just been on a rampage of no selling and kind of just being selfish in the last couple of months. I don't know what's going on. And then she won the Royal Rumble, just continuing to push her for absolutely no reason, no end in sight, no vision for why she's getting pushed. She's just getting pushed for the sake of it. She has nothing going on in the Raw Women's title. She shouldn't be going after Bayley because that match makes no sense. Becky Lynch, we've seen that so many times, we don't need to see that again. And Charlotte won the Royal Rumble for what? Why not give Sasha Banks, who's probably going to go and face Bayley at WrestleMania, why not give... I'm just going to say this. Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch does not excite me. I don't know what's going on with this Shayna Baszler buzz all of a sudden. Ever since she won the title for the second time from Kairi Sane, even before that, but when she went on this, this long streak of her championship reign, what match can you remember that you enjoyed? I don't remember any match. Sure, she has the intensity. I can speak. She has the intensity. She has that, but on the mic and in the ring, what does she really do? I mean, and then compare that, or then add that to Becky Lynch's style of wrestling. How is that going to make for a good match? Maybe it's going to be a good lead up, but again, remember last year when they fucked up Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey? Yeah, what makes you think that they're not going to fuck up Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch? It's probably going to be terrible. And then on an 8-hour show, Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler, what is that going to do for anybody? It's going to put you right to sleep. Be honest with yourself. I don't know where this Shayna Baszler hype has come from. I just don't. And then over on SmackDown, Lacey Evans getting the top babyface push. I have no idea. She's pandering to the crowd like we're just going to forget that she was the biggest bully in WWE over the summer. You can't just turn somebody for the sake of turning them because you need a babyface. You have to have a reason. And Lacey Evans as a face, what I've seen has been so cringy, so pandering, or she's just been pandering to the crowd. Makes no sense. Nobody's getting behind it. And luckily, it's done. If she goes into WrestleMania for the women's title, that's another women's title match at WrestleMania that's going to be forgotten. Liv Morgan coming back to a shit storyline involving the Lana and Lashley mess. Ruby Riott made her return recently to a decent pop. I was actually really surprised by the pop that she got from, I believe it was Utah. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it was a pop from a crowd that you wouldn't expect to know who the hell Ruby Riott is, especially after she's been gone for this long. But she came back, and I will say this: that turn. I know this is gonna sound like I'm shitting on them so much, but it just doesn't make any sense. You have to call it like you see it. You can't give them any credit for stupidity or terrible booking decisions. You know what I mean? So when Ruby Riott came back, as soon as her music hit, you could tell with Liv's big grin on her face that Ruby Riott was going to turn on Morgan right then and there. And that's exactly what happened. You saw it from a mile away. Made no sense. And then going back to Liv and Lana, they had a couple of matches on Raw. Made no sense why they were having matches. And Liv's affair with Lana that was hinted at when she came back for that wedding, that hasn't even been followed up on. Like, continuity is the biggest thing in wrestling that you have to keep. And it makes no sense that they just left that open ended. Like they haven't, and it doesn't look like we're gonna get an answer because now Liv Morgan is going on to do this thing with Ruby Riott. So what's going on here? You know what I mean? You gotta close shit out. It would almost be like me just. You see, I just ended that sentence out of nowhere. Made no sense, right? You have to end shit. You have to start it. If you're gonna start something, end it. It doesn't have to be. If you didn't want to go the lesbian route, right? You still could have had something finish out. It's not that hard to come up with anything to get yourself out of a situation, especially in wrestling. You can do whatever the hell you want. Any idea that you can come up with, just do it. Just finish it. And then finally, going back to that Royal Rumble where Charlotte won, Sasha Banks being left out of the Royal Rumble match was odd. But I will say, I don't know if she's injured, but I will say this: I've kind of lost all the sympathy that I would usually have for these type of talents, these top level talents. That sympathy is gone. I mean, they're going out there and by sources, whoever these sources are, and rumors and dirt sheets, they're saying they're signing these 5-year deals, and then 2 weeks later they are rumored to be unhappy again and wanting to back out. So they know what they're getting themselves into. I don't really care anymore. If Sasha Banks gets pushed, so be it. If she doesn't, oh well. Too bad, so sad. Moving on, the tag division continues to be held back by put together teams. Besides AOP, War Machine, Heavy Machinery, Revival, the Usos, and the Street Profits, who are the other real teams that were together from day one? I can't think of any. And now I know I said like 6 or 7 teams there, but out of those 6 or 7 teams, 2 of them are really still regularly on TV. So put that in your brain as well as I'm explaining what I'm talking about here. Um, I can't think of any other tag teams besides those that are that were together from day one. They just like these Frankenstein teams, I guess. Um, while I do like how Murphy and Rollins got to the belts on Raw, it still doesn't make any sense. They had AOP with them in that stable, so why not give the belts to them? I don't even know who oh wait, I believe it's the New Day because they're going to face Miz and Morrison at that Saudi show. So yeah, the tag team division is just a pile of shit. No, they don't care about it, so why should we? You know what I mean? They're just gonna keep giving those tag team titles to random people. Bobby Roode, Dolph Ziggler, here you go. Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, here you go. The Miz and John Morrison, here you go. Sure, they have been tag champs before, but those guys were not together from the beginning. So you guys kind of get what I'm saying here. The United States and Intercontinental title scene, or the mid-card scene, even though these guys who should be main eventers now are still going after these belts. Anyways, on Raw we have Andrade, who's kind of just been feuding with Rey Mysterio his whole main roster run since 2018, and Humberto Carrillo. Listen, I'm Hispanic, but I cannot get behind Humberto. They should have left him in 205 or in NXT to continue to improve. Is he a good wrestler? Of course. Who isn't anymore? Baron Corbin. Roman Reigns. Sorry about that. I had a little some in my throat. But his charisma is non-existent, which is the problem with a lot of the new crop of talent. Not all, but some. Andrade is still over with me because of Zelina Vega. She is the perfect fit for him as his manager. They also just had Angel Garza come up to align himself with Zelina Vega, and if this becomes a stable, I'm all for it. Unlike Carrillo, Angel Garza does have charisma, and the in-ring work as well. But, there's always that but. Now that he's on the main roster, we have to wait and see how this goes. Unfortunately, we can't predict how they're going to use him from here on out. With Andrade being suspended, I have no idea why they kept the belt on him. They could have given it to Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy or somebody like that, faced off against other up-and-coming talent, or they even could have faced each other a couple more times. Those two guys are one of the reasons I started watching Raw again, because Raw is actually trying to move these talents into better spots. Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, AOP, War Machine, and even Drew McIntyre. I mean, these guys feel like they are in a better position now than they were 6 months ago. And Seth Rollins was the goddamn Universal Champion like 6 months ago, wasn't he? They're trying. Not much of that can be said about SmackDown, because over on SmackDown side, Shinsuke Nakamura was the Intercontinental Champion for about 8 months maybe. He was champion since the last July or June back in 2019. And just like his US title run from 2018, this was really a lackluster run. But hey, what better way to end a lackluster run than with Braun Strowman? Talk about two guys that should have been made huge back in 2018. The title on Braun makes absolutely no sense. What are they going to do with him? Guess what? I still don't care. Sami Zayn, Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura all deserve way better than what they are, or I guess aren't, doing. I haven't seen them on a pay-per-view since Survivor Series where Shinsuke Nakamura ate that pin against Roderick Strong. The Royal Rumble match doesn't count. Especially after Brock Lesnar eliminates them in, 30 seconds? Horrible booking for all of these who should be the top mid-card guys over on SmackDown. Now on Raw, while I do have a problem with Andrade keeping the championship while he's being suspended, I mean, he does deserve that top mid-card spot. So they're building that mid-card division a little bit better, but on SmackDown, it doesn't look like they're doing anything with it. Other things that I've seen on Raw that have caught my eyes, and I'm not gonna say my interest, but have caught my eyes, would be that stuff with Eric Rowan and his cage. I was so happy when Brock Lesnar knocked this man out of the Rumble in 2 seconds. That was the greatest moment of the Rumble. Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe got together to take on Seth Rollins, but once again, Samoa Joe is injured. I can't see this guy ever getting to the level we all think he belongs in after yet another injury. I wonder where this is going to lead KO and Seth Rollins at Mania though. Right now, I could care less if they were left off the card. Sad that WWE has made me say this about those guys. AJ Styles along with the OC, they haven't really done much of note either since Survivor Series. I mean, how can anyone think that Styles is the best wrestler when he's given crap to work with? Bobby Lashley and Rusev, I'm just kidding, I'm not going to remind us all of what has been going on with this storyline. Randy Orton, however, has become the biggest heel, on Raw that is, after Edge made his triumphant return at the Royal Rumble. The night after, Randy Orton, the Legend Killer, the Viper, the Apex Predator, the youngest world champion, the son of Cowboy Bob Orton, the 13-time champion, I think, the voices in his head having asshole, made us think that Rated RKO was going to be reuniting before giving Edge an RKO. And then a concerto to the surgically repaired stack of dimes, Edge calls a neck. No, but in all seriousness, this was played out well. While the match probably won't live up to the hype because of what we are used to seeing now today in 2020, with the level of wrestlers and the level of athleticism that we're used to now, the wrestling styles of Orton and Edge are probably going to leave us wanting more, but the build, however, is probably going to be one of the best things going into WrestleMania 36. The only good things on SmackDown that I've seen would be the Mandy Rose and Otis storyline, the whole love triangle there. I don't know why I said triangle. There's no other person involved here. And then the Fiend and Daniel Bryan, but it looks like that's going to be over. And I'm going to stop right there because if I keep going, I'm going to get pissed with the rumored Universal title match at WrestleMania. Moral of the story here, do not watch SmackDown because none of it, besides those four superstars that I just mentioned, is worth watching. And once those guys stop feuding and hanging out with each other, nothing will be good on the show. Finally, for the main event storylines, as of now, I hate to say this, but Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, has lost his unique touch after they fucked up at Hell in a Cell. While he's still good, they ruined that momentum that he had. I don't care to see anyone but Daniel Bryan win the belt from him right now, and even that match has already been exhausted too much. Over on Raw, Brock Lesnar has been actually putting in some work with the WWE title. At Survivor Series, his match against Rey Mysterio was fun. You had that element of maybe Rey Mysterio could do it with the help of his son, but at the end of it, Brock Lesnar retained it. It was still a fun match to go back and watch. His time in the Royal Rumble, looking back on it, was probably some of his best work as well. When Brock Lesnar wants to put an effort into something, he is great. My only complaint with him is that he doesn't put guys over. But I guess that's Vince, and I'm not talking about in the Royal Rumble. I'm talking about one-on-one matches. Imagine how many times we had Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman ready to be put over him a couple of years ago. You also could have put AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, and Finn Balor over Brock Lesnar in the following years as well, just to give them a win. But I guess that's just Vince being stubborn and continuing to go back to Lesnar instead of making new stars. Drew McIntyre winning the Rumble was an unexpected surprise. But he's been doing good as a face, and because of his size and intensity, I'm actually behind him to go to WrestleMania and face Brock Lesnar. Hopefully in the main event, which is the last match. Don't let them tell you that the main event is every other match. It's not. Oh, that is if Ricochet doesn't win the championship at Saudi Mania 2020. Here are my final thoughts for the state of WWE in February of 2020. On the Raw side, there has actually been some good stuff since November. I have a good feeling that now, while the storylines might not be the greatest, I do have a feeling that guys like Andrade with Selena Vega, maybe you throw Angel Garza in there, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, maybe Samoa Joe. I don't know what's going to happen with his injury. Also with AJ Styles, I don't know what's going on there. The Edge and Randy Orton stuff, Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. Those guys should continue to be given some decent TV time on the way to WrestleMania. Oh yeah, and Becky Lynch. If she faces Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania, it might just be as boring as it was at Survivor Series. I still don't understand where this Shayna Baszler support has come from. If they make it a no DQ match, maybe it'll pique my interest, but as of now, if that does happen, I don't know. And over on SmackDown, I could care less what they do with the talent over there. Just don't give Roman fucking Reigns another main event at WrestleMania, and I'll be cool just skipping his match on the card like I always do. Hell, we got 3 months until WrestleMania. That's enough time to book Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bobby Roode for the Universal Championship. I don't know how they can do it, how they can get there, but that would be better than the rumored matchup. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Until next time, I'm out.